Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. I love when we start a Pirate Broadcast. Before we start the Pirate Broadcast, Chris and I have been talking about different subjects in different media and operations and life and a little bit of everything. So, Chris, thank you so much for being here on the Pirate Broadcast. Welcome. You are now officially a pirate. So those that don't know you, kind of give us a little snapshot of who Chris is and what you're doing and why you're doing it, Chris.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Chris, I am a husband and a father. That's first and foremost. Second, I am the chief operating officer at DLC Management. We own shopping centers around the United States. So my clients are the Starbucks, Walmarts, TJ Maxx's of the world. Those are the tenants that are in our shopping center. So if you think about, people have rental property where they own a duplex and the two people who live there pay them rent. The Starbucks of the world and the Chick-fil-A's of the world, that's who's paying us rent. So for, personally, health and fitness enthusiast. I grew up playing sports my whole life. I wrestled in college. And so that led me into being passionate about fitness. One of the things that kind of I talk about a lot is my birth mother left when I was 2. My dad got remarried when I was 10. But so there was this period of time it was just my dad and myself. Mm-hmm. And it was a 1-bedroom apartment. And he lived on the couch and I lived in the bedroom. And it really, kind of gave me a high tolerance for stress, enabled me to operate under pressure. And so that really helped me grow through the corporate ladder. It helped me in sports and grow through the corporate ladder coming from a lower middle income area where I grew up with, I was the first one to go to college in my family and those type of things. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the things that shaped me. And, when I was growing up, my dad was really, really strict. It was straight A's and you were the best in sports. I never struck out in baseball or I was in trouble. If I lost in wrestling, I was in trouble. If I didn't score the most touchdowns in football, I was in trouble. And so if I got a B+, I was in trouble. And so a lot of kids that would be really troubling and they might go in a rebel and go in a different way. And I kind of took it and my attitude was, okay, this guy wants to act like this. I'll show him. I'm going to one-up him and do better. And it helped me really, strive for success. Yeah. And enabled me to do some things that I, without that tough upbringing, I don't know that I would have, but that's the story. That's kind of who I am, in a lot of different places. Yeah. So is he still with us? Yeah. So you have a pretty good relationship with him? Great relationship. Okay. I have 2 children, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, in a socially distanced non-COVID world. He is around very often. Nice. He's about 40 minutes from me. So he comes by, especially when I need something fixed around the house. He's the handy guy. He's the handyman. It sounds a lot like my dad. I was actually on a call yesterday with Reggie. And we were talking about this and how you instill, how do you instill this quality of being able to go out there and do things and push yourself and actually apply, because, in a world where, Amazon Prime could deliver something overnight, instant gratification, this thing, hard work. And, in the sports analogy, wrestling takes time, technique, you have to grow and expand and push your body and everything else. There's something that growing up, some kids are challenged by applying themselves and they want something now. And our environment now is, Game Boy and, YouTube. And, sometimes they see people that are out on,
to making a lot of money. And it's like, well, that's what I want to do with my life. And there's still a path you have to follow and a journey you have to take in order to accomplish these big goals. And so is that something that you think about for your kids now? And how do you apply that in your life?
Totally think about that. I think my wife and I had this conversation the other night. If on the social media, YouTube gaming thing, I don't have an issue if my kids want to be on video games. Now they're not right now. They're 3 and 2.
Yeah.
I look at it. Tell me what the difference is if someone playing a video game for 4 hours versus practicing the violin for 4 hours. I don't know that there's significant difference yet. Morally, the culture says that this violin is an art that we want society to be good at, and therefore it is not. That's someone who's a hard worker. And that's someone who's challenging themselves as long as they do all their other stuff. Whereas the person playing the video game, it's demonized. And to that end, I look at it a little differently, which is I often say in growing up the corporate ladder, there's like 3 real ways to grow exponentially quick up the corporate ladder. You're either the hardest worker in the room, the smartest one in the room, or you knew someone in the room who got you there.
Yeah.
And I was never the smartest in the room, and I knew no one, so I better be the hardest worker in the room. And so what I tell my wife is, whatever our kids' passions are, and this isn't to obviate fun, but this is to say, I want our kids to go all in so they know what it feels like to work towards success. And I don't care if that's a video game, the guitar, chemistry, whatever their true passion is, I want them to go all in. Yeah. And I think one of the things you mentioned previously is this lack of patience and instant gratification. I think that's also a fear of failure. And that's been talked about since the dawn of time. Since the dawn of time, in the fear of failure. That's not a new topic, but I think it's really relevant because, when I was growing up wrestling, you had people who wanted success, but they didn't want to fail to get there. So whenever there was they knew good opponents were going to a tournament, they would switch weight classes or they would not go to that tournament. And we used to call it, they're ducking them. Bob's ducking Joe. Right. And their fear of failure. Whereas you have the other one who's like, well, if I want to be the best, I have to compete and beat the best.
Yeah. And fear is part of the journey. Failure is part of the journey. Yeah. And challenging yourself is always going to be part of the journey. And as far as kids, the gaming community has evolved too. And you can actually have a career in that arena right now.
Absolutely.
There's so many opportunities out there for kids, and there's so many opportunities out there to grow. And I just see the landscape changing and evolving. And for new parents and parents that are raising kids now, it's really important, I think, to just instill a couple of things. Like you said, if you have to be the hardest worker in the room, be the hardest worker in the room. Learn how to work, learn how to be self-sufficient, learn how to have your identity, learn how to know who you are and what you're about and what you believe in. And I think that's some of the things that parents can really support their kids in. And I just have to believe, my kids are raised and older, and growing up, that was one of the things that, they had a farm, they had chores, they had animals to deal with and everything else that went along with that. And so now they're doing well, working in, different jobs and different careers, but it's really, if you know how to work, you can accomplish anything. At least that's my experience. If you know how to apply yourself, whatever the task happens to be, if you can apply yourself and dedicate some time to it, learn it, grow in it, and adapt, you're you can apply it to any kind of skill set you want to as you're growing up.
Yeah. One of those things, and as you're talking about, one of those things that really is something that can be taught that I think helps kids on the journey, but is a really tough lesson is I don't know anybody who's super successful or has the life they want that didn't make sacrifice. And that's what we're really talking about with the instant gratification and all that good stuff is to really, we only have 24 hours in a day. Some argue maybe we don't, but let's say we do. And let's assume that you're only one person. Well, to dedicate your time, and that's why I say go all in on something. Because if you go all in on something and you truly go all in, well, and you become super passionate about something, it means you're going to have to make sacrifices elsewhere in your life.
Yeah.
And that's an important skill to learn, the ability to sacrifice. We don't talk about that skill.
Yeah.
But it's a real important skill if you learn that, because you'll know when something comes up that you want to chase. Am I willing to make the sacrifices? Because you know you will have sacrifices to go chase that. People try to add things to their life without taking things out. And then you're kind of mad, everything. Going all in on something means you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere else. And are you prepared to do that?
Yeah. Learning how to say no to some things to allow your opportunity to be yes is a huge thing. You recently, you wrote an article in LinkedIn about that, a post around multitasking as well, kind of a similar subject. And it's
so I've considered myself for years, right? Like a great multitasker. I have a busy job and a busy household with a 3 and a 2-year-old. As you know, as a parent, that's a busy household.
Yeah.
And I'm liking myself as someone who gets things done.
Yeah.
And to that end, I was listening to a podcast about multitasking, and there was a gentleman who wrote the book, The Myth of Multitasking, and says that's actually, he says it's an inelegant and incorrect wording of multitasking. It's actually switch tasking, meaning you're interrupted, you're stopping one thing and moving to the next. And to that end, he talks about the real costs to that, which are they call it the switch time, the time it takes to go from one task to the other. It actually increases stress. He gives an example on focus, which I'll give, and I put it in my LinkedIn post, so check it out. And then the third is, there was a Michigan State study that said, in the average 3-second interruption doubles your chance of a mistake.
Wow.
3 seconds. That's it.
3 seconds.
And the average worker in the United States, this was a study done by Rescue Time, can't go longer than 6 minutes without checking their email or instant message. So think about all those 3 second, those doubling of mistakes that are happening. And then he says between going from one task to the other, and the average, most people that can recover about 40 hours a month from focusing, finishing, then moving on to the next, versus multitasking, which is the opposite of what people's intent is by multitasking. And so it was an interesting one that I found really, really thought-provoking, because I'm someone who considers myself a really strong multitasker. And but he says, if you want to see where you're at in your focus in the world, he goes, here's a simple exercise. Turn on Netflix. How long can you watch a TV show without checking your phone? And that is, and he goes, there's people probably out there now that's causing stress just thinking about that.
Yeah. Just talking about it. So I want to ask the community. I want to say hi. I'll give a shout out to Jenny Gold. She's here. Good morning, Chris and Russ. Tracy, she's my producer. Thank you so much, Tracy. Good morning, Pirates. She's awesome. And Darlene in Florida. Good morning, Pirates, Silver Fox DJs. You have a show tonight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Darlene. Thank you. Had to change accounts. She was on YouTube. So good morning, Russ and Russ Hedge out of Oregon. Thank you so much for being here. Monique is here today. Good morning. Thank you so much. Nick, I hope the schedule isn't killing you, my friend. He's up in Canada. Chandra, thank you so much. Good morning. Appreciate you. You know, I'm thinking about this multitasking thing and the ability and the opportunity. And if you have a comment or a thought in the community about looking at your phone, and I think back on before phones were around, and not everybody's had that experience because they were, phones have been around for a little while now. Can you imagine a time in the future and not having a phone and not being connected, and you're unable to make those connections, and what you would feel like?
Yeah, Russ. So yesterday, it's funny you say that. What I made a poll yesterday. So I've been on this topic for a couple of days, right? I made a poll yesterday because I've been burning both ends of the candle, right? And definitely sleeping less than my primary care physician would like. And I posted a simple question, which was, would your bedtime routine change if the internet or cell phone didn't exist?
Yeah.
Or would you be reading during that time? Would you be watching TV instead? Or would you be going to bed earlier? And I think it's thought-provoking to your point on, the time when no phones, because I'm pretty sure I'd be going to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Now, being able to connect with people gives me energy.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me energy. I like the ability that now we live in a world where I can get more done at night, and it gives me energy. So while yes, I might have a sleep routine today that probably needs work, but I think one of the things though is it does give me energy to continue to do business when it's night where you couldn't before, and to connect with people. It gives me energy.
Yeah. Don says he reads before bed, which is a great habit.
Great habit.
And Darlene says, always here to support and take wonderful experiences. I remember not having a phone as a kid, a long 12-foot cable dragged around and attached to the wall, being heard by my dad. Yeah, the connection on the phone. It's awesome. It sounds like your little ones are awake.
Yeah, they're way awake. They're upstairs. They're all good.
Yeah. I want to, and the reason I bring this up is because we're in a world that is busy, and you live in an environment, you live in an organization that deals with something that's really very dynamic right now and challenged in a lot of ways in this day and age with COVID and,
Totally.
So shifting gears a little bit, Chris, I want to find out what's going on in your world in terms of being able to get space and manage space out, and how it's evolving in the world of a pandemic. And I noticed, I heard that a lot of Amazon distribution centers going into some retail spaces that weren't normally there, and things are evolving and changing, and I see spaces opening up. What's the biggest challenges that you have in your organization right now that keep you going and keep you moving forward? Uh-oh. We temporarily lost Chris. So there, he's back. He's back.
So here's how I would answer that. A couple of different ways. I'll try not to get too technical inside baseball, but I may.
Sure.
So we own strip centers, open air shopping centers. So think about the grocery store, Starbucks, whomever, the Walmart, Costco. Those are our tenants paying us rent. A couple of things. One, when you look at who the most successful e-commerce retailers are.
Mm-hmm.
Of the top 10 in e-commerce sales, 6 of them are primarily brick and mortar locations.
Mm-hmm.
What has been proven is when a retailer opens up a store, their online sales in that market increase. When a retailer closes a store in a market, their online sales in that market decrease.
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, the reality is that it's not one channel of either retail or online. It's this multi-channel. The consumer needs to be able to shop you when they want you, how they want to, wherever they want to. To that end, there's a cost to that.
Yeah.
The CEO of Everlane talks about how on Jim Cramer on Mad Money,
Yeah.
what he talks about a couple of years ago on TV. He says, what digitally native brand really makes money? And he says, basically none of them. That's the dirty little secret. They're all growing market share and not making money. And so it's very hard to profit from. It's easy if Russ and Chris want to open up an e-commerce store and sell goods, the cost of entry is cheaper.
Yeah.
We want to scale up and grow the business. The cost is exceedingly more expensive. There was just an article that the logistics costs for an online company are about double that of, or 50% more of that of a brick and mortar location. And so sometime this is going to come to roost where consumers want value. Let's not forget 78% of Americans are about paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And so they can't afford to pay shipping, and the retailers can't afford to make it free. And so there will be time to come to roost. And one of the ways we think the way that is to make it convenient and to make it affordable is the convergence, buying online, picking up in store, things like that. And so to that end, we've been, on the small business side, we've been working with our tenants to try to help them through this time. But we are still growing and signing leases with major retailers across the country that are opening up stores in our properties. And we are maybe contrarian, but bullish that we're here to stay. We own about $2.5 billion of real estate, primarily all retail oriented, open air. Yeah. We do think the malls of the world are a little more challenged than we are, but that's where we're at.
And I like what you're saying, because a lot of people don't realize that if you think of when you walk into a grocery store, you see Coke on an end aisle, that's an investment in advertising. And a retail space in a community, is still advertising even for their online space, right? And it's brand awareness, it's brand identity, and the ability and opportunity to be seen, be heard, and be talked about in terms of that space and that
one of the things I would say, our industry argues, do you know who will open up the most stores of any retailer, physical stores, over the next few years? Amazon. Yeah. And so that's, I think that's proof of the convergence of online and physical. If anyone's been watching news, they opened up 2 grocery stores and they're planning on opening up a ton more. So
yeah, no, I don't see it going away. And I just want to recognize the challenges that people are going through with this transition.
Yeah, it's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge. And I just don't want to dismiss or diminish the challenges people are going through. And at the same time, give people hope that, we're going to evolve through this thing, and we're going to change. And, what I see now is a lot of business, office workers are probably and potentially may not want to go back to a regular 8 to 5, 9 to 5, office space, parking, traffic, and all of the things that go along with that. And so a lot of organizations may also consider evolving and then use flex space in their buildings. I don't know if that's something that you are involved in or have seen in the market or not.
Just in our own business, we have, we are in a pandemic. We're opening our offices back in July of 2021. We've been out of the office since March.
Yeah.
We have given people the opportunity to work from home a couple of days a week, which when we go back, which we hadn't before because we were big on culture and human connection in the team, and we didn't have remote workers. Not that any job can't be done, any knowledge worker job can't be done from remote. That wasn't the point. It was the point that we wanted the team to come together, and we believed in the value of the human connection. But clearly this has changed that, and we still want that, and we believe in that. But there will be some remote ability for people.
Well, there's a lot of, we talk about mental health and the isolation and the disconnect. A lot of people are really, like you said, energized by the community, the culture, and the connection. And,
the best I heard it put was this, Russ, CEO of a fitness brand called Solid Core, was she owns Pilates studios across the country, which obviously fitness challenged in this time.
Sure.
And I challenged her because in a recession, her prices are expensive to go to the gym. And she just, really schooled me in this on why that she wasn't concerned. But one of the things she said was the following: this whole from home thing. I just don't believe, Chris, that people are going to want to work from home, eat at home, shop at home, sleep at home, work out at home, and do everything at home.
Yeah.
And that was the most profound way anyone's put it during the whole recession and the whole pandemic is, that's true. We're going to do some things not from home.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that goes to the isolation factor. And, there's times where, hey, everybody wants to get out. Everybody wants to go do something other than what they're doing at home in front of a screen. So she's, I think, got a point there. That's very valid.
Yeah.
So I really want to know, how do you like people to connect with you? I know you're on LinkedIn and you post on a regular basis.
So LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to me for sure. Please follow me. I'm over the 30,000 connections. So just follow me and engage on a post or send me a DM and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
If you're interested in cool business deals and listen to our podcast, Retail Retold, it's the story of how that store ended up in your neighborhood. And we bring on people who were involved in some cool business deals of how locations ended up where they did. So if you want to learn about some business deals, that's what we do on our podcast. So
that's fantastic. I want to say hi to a couple more people. Chandra, Nancy is in from wow, you're early, Nancy. Good morning. Thank you for being here. She's over on the West Coast. Patrick is here. Thank you so much for being here. I want to wrap up here before we take off and talk about some of the things that you might be working on, or some of the things we can support you as a community and put in place and position for you to be successful. How do you need support from the community, Chris? I know you have a podcast, and that would be lovely if people can subscribe to your podcast, leave a review, things like that. What are some other ways that we can support you?
I think the support local business. That's the number one. They're really struggling through this time, and it's going to take some time for them to recover. And I'm a believer in the resilience of the American entrepreneur, and support local business. They're going through a challenging time, and it costs money to pivot, and they're challenged. So if you can support local business, then that's the best way for it, in my opinion. Check out our website, dlcmgmt.com. Follow Ressa on real estate. I talk about retail, real estate, and leadership. That's my hashtag. So there's a hashtag Ressa on real estate. Please follow it. No matter where you are, I think there'll be some value that comes from it.
That's fantastic. Well, everyone, Chris, thank you so much for sharing this and kind of a slice of life in your world. And a lot of people don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. And it's really important to know that there are people out there doing great work like yourself, making things happen, moving it forward, regardless of the challenges. And I just really applaud your efforts, and thank you so much for being a pirate, man.
Thank you. Really. Take care, man.
So everyone, go follow Chris. let him know that you are a pirate and you want to, make comments on his post and his podcast and like and follow and share all of the things. And also the Pirate Broadcast. Love your support there. Like, follow, and share. YouTube channel is growing. I'm going to continue to pursue that arena and grow that channel. So if you can and you're able, take a moment and go over there and subscribe and make yourself known in the YouTube world. And as always, everyone, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And I look forward to you every single day because I want you to enjoy your day. Take care, Chris.
Thanks.
See ya, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.